BenFlyingRetro, and I'm embarking on a quest to purchase every classic GI Joe comic from the original 80s and 90s Marvel run.
Warning.
Hunting down individual issues from every corner of the globe in whatever order the universe decides to give me. Join me and my pal Steve every week as we discuss my latest find. Welcome to Chasing Joe. Chasing Joe. Whoa! My name is BenFlyingRetro, and as you hopefully know by now, I am on a quest to complete Marvel's 1980s magnum opus GI Joe, Real American Hero. Every week, the postman delivers an utterly random issue from Larry Hama's epic comic book, and me and my good buddy SJub7 chew over the bones of its delicious, inky, story-based gizzards. Welcome to episode 17 of Chasing Joe.
How do you do that? I mean, if we held a stopwatch up, that would have been like 30 to 40 seconds of like freestyle madness without a stumble, without a trip, without...
I think that's just the same as the intro you guys just watched, but I thought at episode 17, I want to bring people up to date and make sure everyone's on board with what I'm doing, what we're doing. So there you go. How are you, good buddy?
Well, we're in the beginning of 2025 and Christmas trees are coming down. You put the kids back into school, so you're sitting pretty. I've still got my brats on my case for a little while longer. Yeah, people are clearing out. Like, my household is awash with children and parents and cousins and uncles and aunties, and everyone's kind of dispatching off to their own home bases now.
It's like the end of a John Hughes film.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Need some strong underscore and some sunset walks. You know.
We watched a lot of Home Alone and Home Alone 2 over the season. And
how do you watch a lot of two films?
Well, you watch them on repeat.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm here to say that I think the second one is superior.
Ooh.
I don't actually think that's even a hot take. I think it's one of those sequels that often is roped in with Godfather 2, Empire Strikes Back, Aliens, Home Alone 2, good sequels.
Right.
Are you
Back to the
feeling
Future
that?
Part 2?
Ooh, no.
No, I'm alone in that opinion.
Oh, is that really?
I just liked hoverboards and flying DeLoreans.
Of course you do. It's a perfect trilogy. I actually struggle to talk about that trilogy in 3 parts. It's just a big
single journey, sure. But I think, depending on the age of the child, like my kid would get a lot more out of seeing Back to the Future Part 2 than Part 1 or 3, I think.
Every time you watch Part 2, aren't you always reminded that they're actually in the future for about 10 minutes?
Wonderful. But it's what a standout moment. I think the fun with Part 2 is the time paradox of going to see what happens in the future and when things go wrong. Like, things go very right for Marty in Part 1. Yeah. But like butterfly effect, flip of a coin, things could have easily gone even worse than he had it.
I crave a moment in my life where I can flip a chalkboard and then draw the 2 lines, and then it's like, then we skewed down.
That's 1985.
Yeah, but that's the one that I actually like, with Biff Towers and all that jazz. That's a good timeline.
Oh, right. Wow. Okay. Well,
but look,
then there's a lot of merit to Part 2, and I'm not alone.
As much as I would love to do a Back to the Future podcast, and I think I've got one in me, this is Chasing Joe.
We've done 1 episode of a Back to the Future podcast, but yes, let me not divert the order of he's got a thing in his hands.
The postman has been. Now, as always, I get you to guess the price, but I've found myself a new source. So I've done eBay, I've done Etsy, I've done hot not. I've had donations, but this is something new. What do you think it is?
You're not leaving a lot on the table, Ben.
Is there anything big that I haven't ticked off in terms of
Well, you're not on
retailers?
Facebook. Facebook Marketplace is my first go-to because it's just so big and so local. Big retailers. Google. No, Amazon.
I say big retailers. That might
Temu. Shine.
Temu.
A Temu GI Joe comic.
That's big, isn't it? That's big.
Yeah, it's also Hong Kong, baby. Okay, what's he got?
Okay.
That's looking good. Sturdy boards.
Ooh,
It's a heavy
wow.
book, ladies and gentlemen.
We have got G.I. Joe issue 50, May 1986, August cover date, a very special issue, a bumper issue, an anniversary of sorts. Wow. Where do you think I got it from, though? You're not going to guess. I got it from Vinted. Do you have Vinted where you are?
I do not have Vinted where I are.
Okay,
Interesting.
it's meant to be a clothing-based app where you sell your clothes. That's how it started.
All of these platforms started as something else, but now people just sell whatever.
Dude, it got big. It was huge.
Okay.
I've sold loads of clothes on it. And then it just got appropriated by everyone and people just sell everything on there. And
Vinted. What's the origin of that word? Isn't it coming from like vineyards?
no, like vintage, I guess.
Vinted.
Oh, vintage. I don't know. It's a good name. But if you want G.I. Joe comics, get on there because this, when I was on eBay, this was relatively hot topic. Being
Not so unvinted, I guess.
Being an anniversary and also a first appearance of someone, am I thinking?
It is the first appearance of Special Missions. Special Missions issue 0.
But is it the first appearance of a character?
Of a character? No. Issue 49, I think, would be his first appearance.
Okay.
Oh, we're talking about the same guy?
No.
Guy wears a snake cowl?
I'm talking about a gal. But I think I've got that wrong.
Oh, then you are absolutely right, Ben. I stand corrected. Yes, this is the debut issue of Zorana. Here I was thinking of Serpentor, dude.
Oh, right.
He's the big bad of the issues. Zorana gets a 1 page right at the end of the story. But
yeah,
I'm speaking from privileged information that I shouldn't have already.
I'm saying that I've got a bargain. How much of a bargain do you think this was?
Oh, hang on. Past tense verb vinted. Past participle vinted. Or vint. Produce wine or other alcoholic drink. He drinks a brandy that was vinted and distilled in Sirius. So, yes, it is a liquor thing.
Well, I tell you what, I've shifted some serious clothes on that thing. I don't know. Maybe it is just the UK.
Cool word. It's a cool word, either way. But how much did you pay for issue 50? You said you got a bargain. I'm going to say you paid £10.
£3.75. I think 10 would be fair because this is minty.
Looks good. Yeah. I happen to have one to hand too, Ben, my man.
Is it falling? Whoa, my days! It doesn't look quite as. It doesn't look as vibrant as mine.
That's my shitty lighting.
Is it? Camera. Are you sure? Yeah. Because I mean, mine almost looks like a digital issues. The colors are popping so much. So let's just bring people up to speed. So at episode 17, the running total of my mission is £84.99, which is around 107 American dollars. So I keep on, I'm trucking, I'm just going. There's 4 donations in there. Let's do a smell test. Whew.
You're not going to apply it from the spine to your face.
Yeah.
Oh, mine is
You
definitely getting
cannot tell me
mothballs.
that your book is not a little bit bleached. What sort of lighting have you got going on there?
It's a shitty camera, I'm telling
It's just
you.
okay. Okay, I'm not having
It
a
ain't
look.
bleached. Look at the back. It's black.
I'm not having a condition off.
Gosh.
It smells like French bangers.
Whatever the hell that smells like.
French
French make
bangers.
bangers.
Basically, you go to Dover, you get on a ferry, you go to Calais, you buy a load of French bangers, and
Okay.
this is
Pork
is what
sausages.
well, and beer.
Somehow French bangers includes beer.
I'll drop the guy I bought this a line and see if I don't know he's got any connection to Calais supermarchés. But look, let's get straight on to the cover. I am getting major World War II Saving Private Ryan vibes.
Totally.
Oh, yes, so you are getting that. Okay.
It's melancholy. There's nothing heroic about seeing the back end of a tank.
Because, but they also look like they're sort of, they're entering a town that's already been kind of destroyed. They're not in a firefight there. And it's a relatively old school tank. Yeah, and that burnt out building, big WW2 vibes.
Yep.
Plus, what an interesting
Angle?
kind of color choice as well.
To do a mauler in green. Or you
With
talking about the pink sky?
The sky.
Yes. Everything's a little bit
you're
washed
meant to-
up. This is a Mike Zeck cover, and it's very unusual for him. Like, normally he does really heroic stuff, like
Character pops.
character pops, front and center, big style. This is the back end of a vehicle. We've seen the back of Flint and the back of Heavy Metal.
I think you're right. I think it is unusual for a 50th as well.
Yeah. It's not what you expect.
I just
You
love
expect,
the
like,
way
a
that-
team shot, like
that
all the
smoke.
big players of the day.
Yeah,
all
totally.
assembled.
But it's almost as if they got bigger fish to fry. The smoke coming up there, and then the way it turns to black, and you've got the GI Joe in front of it. Oof.
It's foreshadowing definitely to the melancholy end of the issue. I mean, the Battle of Springfield was not a great victory for GI Joe.
Tell me.
Tell you. Or, well, we don't get into the synopsis just yet.
Well, no, just tell me. Can you hold up your front cover again?
I absolutely can. Let me just jockey this StreamYard. Boom. I have... Oh, you've got the barcode. Yeah, we both got
I was having a new standoff because I think I am just that guy. I love a newsstand.
Yeah, it's been through some hands.
Roll
wound
up,
up.
roll up, get your issue 50. I will get my issue 50. I
have a
think I'm
technical
becoming
issue
that
with the
guy.
cover. Oh, yeah?
I think I need newsstand. Damn it.
Oh no, he's gonna trade out all his Spidey heads.
Do you think that makes condition?
much more difficult? I'm sure.
Yeah, it has to.
Surely.
Has to. I mean, are we meant to think if they have a barcode on them, that meant every single issue with a barcode got shipped to a newsstand? And when they didn't sell them all, I don't know. Where has this come from, S-Jubs?
Hey man, I'm the plastic guy. I'm not the paper guy. I don't know why I'm here.
What I'm
Just to tell you
saying
about
is,
toys.
I'm just trying to track it back, and yeah. So if they get delivered with a stack of papers to the newsstand, they sell as many as they can, and then what? They go to the comic shop? Don't know.
Yep, some kind of surplus. They get shifted off to the third world.
Yeah. If you're lucky, if you're lucky,
man.
they do.
Now, I have a technical thing to note on this cover because I am speaking from the plastic point of view.
Yeah.
Where do you suppose Flint and Heavy Metal are seated on the tank to be visible from this angle?
Yeah, it doesn't actually make sense. I've only
It
thought
makes-
about that now you've said that.
0 sense. They are
Yeah.
somehow behind where the turret is swiveling.
Flint does have a
Whereas-
hatch behind him, but
But that's basically the engine compartment of the Mauler tank.
Yeah, because
it's not for nothing that I brought my Mauler into studio.
the position he's in makes you think that he's in the turret, but he's absolutely not in the turret.
I mean,
let's
the
have a
artist
look.
has foreshortened things, but the hatches are over here in the front. They're seated somewhere over here.
So you're saying this is 100% a Mauler?
A green Mauler, which
A green one?
we might have gotten. I mean, this was 1986, so the Mauler toy had already been out for a year. This is the artist or the colorist taking liberties and making it green instead of tan. There was talk of a convention exclusive green Mauler that didn't come to fruition, sadly. They even
I tell you what, that I can see why he's made that. It works a lot better with the cover in green.
Yeah. I don't think a tan would have read as well and had that nice contrast. But I still come back to the fact that it always throws me that the characters are sort of popping out of the engine of this tank. They're right at the back. It's a weird look. And the tank looks weird as well. It's so
now you're
foreshortened.
saying all of this stuff. It's making me see it differently because I've just realized that. Well, no, that is actually the back of the tank, isn't it? That is the actual back. And when there's the mud flap and everything, and it's like the angles are all very strange. In my head, I think I've only just realized that really is the back. So it's an odd looking thing, really. It doesn't actually make sense.
And it's made to look the size of an armadillo almost.
Yeah. I think at first glance, I feel like the tank goes on beyond the pages, but of course it actually doesn't. Yeah. It's...
look, don't let me ruin your...
Stop ruining this cover for me.
Let's get into a little synopsis, shall we?
Do it.
The Battle of Springfield, as the title reads. We open with the infiltration team that had neutralized Springfield Police Department running from this new Cobra leader called Serpentor. Serpentor manages to pull off an incredible about-face. The Joes are invading Springfield, but he's able to hold them at bay, divert them away from where the population of Springfield is being evacuated from, which is the sports stadium, get them to make a front at the airport, and then disappear on them. He succeeds in evacuating Springfield, and this is a huge threat to Cobra Command. Of course, Hawk's left carrying the can, like they've invaded a seemingly innocent American town, and they've got absolutely nothing to show for it. Sad times for GI Joe.
What a synopsis. What an issue. Possibly my favorite issue we've covered so far. Ooh. I opened up the page, and it's like Star Wars. I mean, that is Wiggum just going buck wild. It's such a good opening page, S-Jubs. It's
man.
That night sky, the tracer fire, it's hectic.
What do you think of this team, dude?
I love the team. I absolutely adore the team. I'm a big fan of Beachhead, so having him in there. Leatherneck,
Beachhead, Leatherneck,
grumpy Leatherneck,
quick kick spirit, and someone who disappeared between the pages, unfortunately, because I know he was in the helicopter in issue 49, was Torpedo.
Right, okay.
He's been dropped.
I see. I mean, my notes here, I've just got close quarters, urban warfare, street to street, gorgeous art. The art in this issue, it's stunning. I read it twice. I was so thrilled when I read this issue. I must look back and see what I gave it when I was on Talking Joe.
I had half a mind to listen back to you boys talk about it.
Oh, he can draw an ore striker. My goodness, it's that night sky. Actually, you're on one of my favorite panels there. Is that who's on the horn there? Is that Spirit?
Hawk. Oh,
no, and the next one. No, you're on it.
All right,
yeah,
so
yeah, but the silhouette, that image, they are just in it, dude. They are in it.
Well, you said you were getting Saving Private Ryan vibes. With that, I'm getting more Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket vibes.
Yes.
Sort of burnt out Vietnamese city at night.
Yeah.
With like active fires, just all over the place, creating just massive silhouettes.
A lot of, we've spoken about this before, we love headlights. There's a lot of yellow, a lot of lamps, a lot of full beams. It makes for a very dynamic read.
Serpentor uses, basically blinds the Joes and then has his vehicles move off in the dark with their lights off and then approach from a different angle, this time without any drivers and the sort of throttle jammed by jack stands and wrenches.
Yeah.
Very, very cool way to set up Serpentor as this god of war, this ultimate leader, this ultimate soldier as well, this ultimate fighting, he's the soldier's leader, he's the fighting
The troops are digging him, man.
Yeah. Big time. Big time.
And look, whilst you've got all of that going on here, I've made a note about Destro's role in this issue.
I'm glad you brought him up. Okay.
He's looking after the town. He's on the megaphone. He's organizing things. And we've touched on this before, but he has loyalty. He is loyal. He made an agreement with Cobra Commander, and we see him kind of doing the donkey work in this issue. And look how he's drawn. Look at his eyes.
Yeah, you're getting a lot more expression.
I love that. That's how I want him drawn. There's a man
it's
in there.
Dramatic stuff. Yeah, a man in there, and a man whose principles cannot be bought by money or love. He has this amazing monologue or dialogue with Baroness. Baroness is so quick to be like, "Come, Destro, let's overthrow Cobra Commander together." And he's like, "No, I'm not going to do that." Some men would give up honor for love. I'm not one of them.
Yeah, fantastic. One of my favorite pages is the garbage truck page. Now, why is Snake Eyes hot wiring a garbage truck and then riding it on the side so cool? And Beachhead and Leatherneck just laying down, suppressive in the back.
In the back of a garbage truck. Gross. But, a garbage truck has a lot of steel. I guess it's, better that than a bus or anything civilian.
Look at them in the back, just full auto. Ah! Two great figs. Two of my fave figs. Always had a soft spot for Beachhead. Liked how he was kind of portrayed in Sunbow.
Just a hard case. In fact, both of them were portrayed as hard cases. Both of them were sort of...
irritable, really.
Like drill sergeants.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember sort of... Is it the movie or is it a Rice Penta where they go through the hierarchy? There's no, first it's Hork, then... Hork, then Duke, then Flint, then you. And I always remember thinking, I never played with him as being fourth in command.
Yeah,
no chance.
Play fast and loose.
It's Flint, it's Flint saying those things.
Yes, and it's Arise, Serpentor, Arise.
Yeah.
First part.
Then me, then you.
But you aren't in charge, Beachhead. What? Yeah, it does seem strange that Beachhead would be jockeying for position of Supreme Commander of GI Joe.
Yeah, for sure.
But
also, you've got all of this going on, and then you're getting some Storm Shadow stuff, baby. I mean, just G1 coolness personified, raising up. He doesn't know what's going on. Oh, he's drawn so good.
Do you like this subplot of him having the memories of...
I just think it just works so well in this issue as another thing to cut to. That's power. We call that power stance. That is power stance.
Totes. Yeah.
I mean, he's dealing with three absolute goons. But
and he's got a little skull drawn in his pupil. That's some badass detail from Mr. Wiggum.
I'm going to say that I missed that. Wow.
It's there, man. It's
Best
easy
thing
to see
about
when you've got a scan pulled up and you're zooming right in on it.
yeah, best thing about that fig though, the Cobra insignia, the size of it, the pop.
It's perfect design language. Any Cobra, any Storm Shadow that is missing that little red pop is a great disservice is done to that figure. Like they nailed it on the first pass. It's
I
tough
couldn't
to fault
help
V1 Storm Shadow.
when I was reading this, I couldn't help but think of the modern ARA because they've just had a Springfield skirmish.
It's ongoing, yeah.
It's
Currently in
ongoing.
the pages.
It's spilling over quite a lot of issues, and I just thought how amazing this is comparatively. How
That's where it all started.
the action is just so great. The dialogue, so much is happening. It's moving. I was like, wow, things have really changed. It makes the modern stuff feel like treacle, just like wading through. I don't,
Sorry to hear that, Ben. Are you
Same
having
writer.
a hard time with same writer and playing his best hits. Perhaps for a new audience, or perhaps it's just us old.
Yeah, it just felt like
from the way back.
it just felt like I'd just read that and now I'm reading this. I was like, wow, things
Night
have
and day.
changed. But yeah, what stands out for you in this issue, S Jubs?
The fact that they have to put down the family dog.
Oh,
Brutal. Oh shit. So Destro's like driving through the streets on a loud hailer or megaphone, telling people to like burn anything that they can't carry, like any kind of incriminating evidence, and there's no space for evacuating non-essentials or pets.
more World War II stuff,
Why does the dad have to put the dog down? Can't you just let the little scrounger run wild?
bright red dog?
Big red
That
dog.
again, I felt more kind of like the evacuation aspect of this issue. It had that feeling of these are the bad guys, but it doesn't necessarily feel that way when they're evacuating sort of civilians.
It's a strange thing to me to put such a human face on the bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it speaks to the complexity of the writing, but like this is territory that I would never, in my wildest dreams, like deign to play out. Like I would never personify Cobra this way.
You've always wrestled with this. You've wrestled with it like it's the Royal Rumble.
Well, I mean, it's just like spool this out a little bit. Like they managed to evacuate the civilian population of Springfield and get them to Cobra Island on relatively slow-moving helicopters.
But
The Joes have
a
apparently
helicopter you
lost
like.
them. A helicopter I absolutely adore, but it doesn't take away from the fact that like they're in American airspace. It would be perfectly legal for an F-14 or Sky Striker to buzz these bad boys and compel them to like land at an American-held airbase or even a civilian airfield. Just anywhere they could like actually capture the civilian population of Cobra. This shouldn't be where the battle ends, but for convenience sake, this is Cobra winning and calling it a day, and GI Joe being left with a burnt-out town and all the blame falling on their shoulders.
Don't you just absolutely love your boy Shipwreck popping that flare? He
They found a use for him.
He gets a little panel, and when he does, that ultra white, that negative space. Oh,
Just ghostly Cobra helicopters picked out in white.
I am such an art guy with these books. It's ramping up every single issue. I'm just so into these panels.
And when you compare them to modern comic books with all the additional tricks and techniques that they possess, like the art style of Chris Mooneyham, for example, and the colors that are used, that sort of like almost aging that the panels get. They get like a dot gain
Yes.
to them. This is very much like bog standard newsprint style classic comic books that basically were unchanged from the 30s up till this point. And you think to yourself, well, there's so much more that a modern comic can do. Like, how does this compare? You say you're an art guy, but like,
well, I feel like this feels more human.
Limited.
I feel like I can connect the dots, and I can appreciate that it's been drawn and not had much more done to it apart from be inked. I just don't look. I don't sit here and claim to understand how modern comics are produced, but there feels to, I don't know, there's something digital about them. There's something about these old books that resonates. And I think it's probably the imperfections and just I don't know.
Working within limitation. That you have to sometimes put people up against a blue background because you can't do a night sky every time.
I'm so glad that they did, because it's just cool. That is a good profile.
Old school.
Yeah. Look, there's some modern comics that I absolutely adore the art style. There's nothing quite like these old books in my mind, in my eyes. And also, I'm a sucker for the 80s. It's just the fact that someone sat down and drew it in 86, and everything that was fueling that, and all of the inspirations that he probably had, all of that's chucked in there as well for my mind.
We have an appearance of White Doc.
Oh, wow.
And moustacheless Zap. At one point, they name-check Zap, but he doesn't have a
Zap
moustache.
is doing the rounds in issue 50. That blows my mind.
Does blow your mind. The green shirts are kind of amorphous. Like, there's a dude with a machine gun, but he looks very much like a standard U.S. militaryman.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't look like Grunt. He's got a chin strap. In fact, Hawk has a chin strap in a number of panels, and that's interesting. Sometimes Stalker looks like a white guy. Roadblock in this panel looks like Gung Ho. I mean, he's bald with white complexion.
If anyone has ever listened to mine and Chief's audio experiences of the Star Wars trilogy,
guilty,
still available, we love discussing chin straps. Oversized in the OG Star Wars trilogy. Once you've seen them, you cannot unsee them. They are absolutely colossal.
Jeez, whatever the extras wardrobe had on the day, man, that's what you got.
Yeah. Now look, who are we getting on not the last page of the book, but the last page of this story? Who do we get?
Who do we get?
Serana!
I didn't know it was you.
I didn't know it was you. There we go. Maybe, I think people like firsts, don't they? That probably adds an extra couple of pounds to this issue, I'd imagine. I don't know. First appearance of Zorana? Maybe it's not.
You admitted last week that the lady action figures don't really do it for you. They tend to just find their way in the toy box, or maybe not even that. They just kind of look
but I picked up Xandar and Zorana, and I did enjoy those figs.
Oh, good. What did you get up to with the Z kids?
I think I just adored their color palette at the time.
Yeah.
And how they just you have to play with those guys together. I was a big Dreadnoks guy. I know you're not that into them, but again,
I think the Z kids get a pass. Specifically Zorana for me. Xandar
I love
came a lot
factions. Later. I just adored other teams. So I remember always me and my brother discussing how I don't know which ones, but lots of the Dreadnoks have got the Cobra tattoo on them, yeah, or insignia on them somewhere.
They've got some kind of snake-ish motif.
No, someone's got the red.
The Dreadnought with the red.
Yeah, no.
Cobra symbol.
Tattoo,
I'm drawing a blank, man.
Anything? Well, you're the guy you'd know.
I think Norgahide has some kind of tattoo, but it's not the Cobra symbol. Is it not a crossed-out GI Joe?
Well, someone will tell us.
In the other room.
Maybe I found it conflicting, but maybe I've got that wrong. I don't know.
Zorana's got her sort of dragon tattoo in this Rod Wiggum art. In her first appearance, she's got a tattoo which was in her production art, which was then not translated into the action figure. Because the action figure just reused Zartan's upper arms.
Dude,
They corrected that
love
with the...
tats on figs. Woo, fantastic. Any kind of
Well, then Classified
paint
should be
app.
your jam, Ben.
No, but back then, I mean, any kind of paint app was just exciting and like, ooh, what's
Added
this?
detail.
What's this detail that's going to scuff off in about 5 days with my hardcore play? Hey, look, I'm booked in on Friday for some tats. I know the viewers
sweet.
want to keep up to date
What's
with
it
my
gonna be?
tats.
Have you decided?
I got the VHS logo. I've got a Pokemon Gengar. There's a whole bunch. But yeah, what you just said about Norgahide, yeah. I know he's a Dreadnought, but I feel for me he was quite late in the day. I never really remember playing with him as part of that gang. Can you relate to that at all?
Absolutely.
Quiz question. What was the last Dreadnought introduced?
In the classic run.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because to me, late ones were... Who's the dude? Zanzibar?
Zanzibar, yeah, but he was before Norgahide for sure.
But to me, he was quite late. So he came with a vehicle, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So him, Road Pig, Norgahide. Who came after that lot? Who was like the final wave? Did they just bug out?
I think that was it for the Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
In the classic line. I mean,
okay, so that's why
added...
Norgahide might have been the last release then, figure-wise.
And I'd say he's a tenuous link to the Dreadnoughts because he's a poacher. I feel like the figure was designed and then they shuffled him off as a Dreadnought when they were they had this design that was kind of greenlit to be in the 1989 wave. And then they were like, well, we got to concoct some kind of backstory. And maybe it was Larry who added him to the Dreadnoughts at that point. That's my theory anyways. Because
how's
a poacher...
his hat aged for you? The hat can be tricky. Mine looks like it's been freaking eaten.
Well, it probably has been eaten.
I had to put blue tack underneath his hat. Always struggled. Any struggles for you?
All right. Well, look, I bought mine after the fact. You know, this isn't a childhood toy.
On his head quite nicely and stays on there.
Haven't tried it in the last 12 months, Ben. But
you've got beef with that figure.
Well, I do think that he shouldn't be cast as a Dreadnought. I think he should be one of his own. You know, he's a freak unto himself.
Maybe he's the one that's got a Cobra symbol on him.
He's got a GI Joe symbol that's been crossed out. It's a circular sort of no Joe kind of.
Look, one thing fans of this show can count on, and that is me and you rambling on about a fig that's not even in the issue that we're discussing.
To my mind, not even in any issue of GI Joe.
Man, that makes it even better.
But he did have a nice feature in the cartoon.
What are we saying here? This is a
backup story.
Bumper issue. What? It doesn't end with Zorana. What do we get? We probably get one of the best special missions there is. I mean, is there a better juxtaposition? We go from an ARA issue with a Snake Man running around to this ultra real world airplane hijacking. I mean, I feel like this really sets out the stall for the reader that you're going to be getting something a bit different with special missions, and you're going to love it.
Oh, yes. So this is your typical hostage drama aboard a Russian aircraft. It seems like the hostage takers, the people who have skyjacked the plane, want to crash it into a poison gas factory in the Soviet Union.
That'll do it.
Yeah, of course, Russia wants to shoot this plane down, but America wants to preserve the lives of the passengers on board because this is a plane flying out of San Francisco carrying a American chess grandmaster, among other American civilians. Fortunately, Flint, Lady J, and Beachhead managed to get aboard and turn the situation around. And it's as simple as that. I mean, it's a very heavily written special
I was going to
mission,
say,
as they all are.
again, the difference in bubble count is off the charts. And we've got Trimpe on this one, and it's just, it's just
boy, does he
joyous.
love drawing aircraft. I mean,
look at the detail.
Yeah, it's
the
a pretty
cockpit.
photoreal looking F-14. I mean, you could say they're Sky Strikers, but they're not. There is a slight difference. Not slight. It's profound if you know what you're looking for. Like, he's been told specifically, do not draw Sky Strikers, draw Tomcats.
Look how he's drawn the Ore Striker on the next page as well. Joyous.
Vroom.
Just, yeah. Vroom.
Love it.
It's beautifully
Does Stalker
drawn.
have his leg up? He totally does.
Oh,
why
incredible.
is the general drive, like, the general is at the wheel and Stalker's like got his foot up?
Sometimes they like to feel like they're helping out and doing something.
Point
now look,
taken.
Get yourself to the page where Stalker is fighting off that big lady.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself there, because look how all of this is drawn. Like, there's a turbulent sort of nature to Trimpe's art. It's almost like jittery and hectic, and it's like vibrating in that panel. It's just so lovely. It feels so human. It's just great.
Chaotic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
just
pretty
chaos.
ballsy. Stalker and Hawk rock up at this terrorist's headquarters and just like walk through the door. They breeze past the SWAT guys.
Yeah, they got all the main
got
dudes
cordoned off.
outside. They're very cash, and then all of a sudden they're not cash.
We got this.
They just walk into a fight. Look at that. Yeah. They're almost Terminators at that point. I mean,
I think Special Missions kind of danced between like super realism and then this like 80s action schlock where the heroes can just waltz through the front door and no one is able to get a beat on them. Like, all of a sudden, everyone on the other side of the door is shooting the door frame and not the doorway itself. That's hilarious.
Don't you think they've picked a great team to take on actually boarding the aircraft?
Oh, yeah, man. Even a gratuitous, like, panty shot for Lady J. She gets into a stewardess outfit. Where, meanwhile, the boys don't do any kind of mufti. They just stay in their old duds.
I do enjoy these panels where they're individually cutting through and getting into their various positions. It's
with
like
these,
you realize
James Bondian torches.
Like Beachhead with the the knife in his mouth. Like
which always makes me feel uncomfortable. He's got a balaclava on. He's got a balaclava on, but he's got a blade, like he's in his mouth.
He's breathing heavy. He must be.
Ow!
But they're specialists at the top of their game, S-Jubs. This is almost routine for them.
You can once again hear the sort of the heist music from Heat.
Yeah,
as they make their sneaky way into the aircraft cabin.
Beachhead has never looked better there. Absolutely fantastic.
That is outstanding.
Wasn't it just fun when you're just reading this A-Ra and you're just like, I've got a whole nother issue here. Lovely. I love a bumper-sized omnibus.
Got to get my toys out. Did you do any hijackings? Any kind of hostage situations?
Hostage situations, yes.
Okay.
But never anything with an aircraft.
Yeah. It's a tricky thing to recreate in terms of like, you can't
Playmobil that.
Yeah. Playmobil is not going to be your answer. I mean, all those aircraft are woefully undersized.
Yeah.
You have to construct a sort of a cylinder of some kind, or at least, I mean, what we would do typically would just take VHS cassettes and demarcate where the fuselage was, where the wings were, But you couldn't get
Love
the
that.
same like vibe of like being able to drive the refueling truck underneath the plane and the guys drop out, Delta Force
Yeah.
style.
But what I did like was this more sort of serious approach to play, where they have something very specific to do, like mission-based, small teams. I think that is probably how I played with my toys. Well, especially towards the end of when I was sort of playing with them when I was a kid. Kind of liked doing these missions with goals, or usually some kind of technical goal, had to defuse something or tap into something. The days of like the ARA issue where it was just carnage, I had those as well. But then I got way more focused when I started having my faves, my teams, and when I started troop building. I think that sort of lent itself to coming up against, multiple versions of Heat Vipers, Toxo Vipers, Iron Grenadiers.
But you did keep it all very Joe versus Cobra. Because what Special Missions did for me was it made me want another baddie.
Yeah, what did you do for that?
Cobra. The core was my answer.
Right.
The core, just kind of very generic looking, soldier looking dudes.
I never deviated outside of Joe figures. I don't think I did. No, never.
It came later for me. My parents, I think they knew what was up. They knew that like this is a lower budgeted affair. The fact that you could get almost a snip strip of 3 core figures for the price of 1 GI Joe or more. I mean, they did multiple packs. Like you get like 12-man teams, 24-man teams. They were.
It's impressive that you.
Very impressive.
You did that.
You could build an army very quickly with the core. So
yeah, but it's impressive that you did that, because
they steered clear of the core and just bought me GI Joe. But then I later on, at about 12, 13, started buying up core because I was like, I need these fodder as just generic baddie. Like, I'm watching a lot of 80s action movies. You're going to see like drug dealers that have these armies, these generic armies. They all have fatigues. They're kind of ill-designed fatigues, but fatigues nonetheless. And the core guys provided so well.
Yeah, you definitely had a good play brain, because I would have been sort of blocked by my love of the core brand and not wanting to deviate. And I was so obsessed with GI Joe and the branding, I wouldn't have been able to even look at another shelf in a toy store and put those things together and be like, well, these guys need like fodder.
I feel like the core was sold at different kind of outlets. Like, would Toys R Us have held core stock?
100%.
I feel like the core,
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they would be sold alongside GI Joe,
and they would have been, so much cheaper. Probably half. I don't know. In my core days of collecting, I have a price point in my head of $2.99 for a GI Joe fig. Does that? What was what did you pay in SA?
I think the earliest price point I can remember was about R7.99, which at the time it was R1 to the $1, R4 to $1.
Okay,
so that would have been like $2 US.
Yeah, pretty good. I don't really remember a time collecting when it went much higher than that. But those core figs, they would have been, I don't know, they must have been like a £1.50, I don't know. Did they even sell them individually? It's not that sort of thing, is it? They would have been...
They were initially individually sold.
Really?
But as the years went on, they started just like more and more permutations. They would sell them with like a little vehicle and a figure, or 2 figures and a vehicle, or 3 figures, 12 figures, 24. I shit you not, Ben, I bought like the whole set in basically 2 packages that came with like a mid-sized vehicle, like a Jeep each. So I got the whole team in these 2 multi-packs. But I
And
have
these-
multiples now. I've got way too many core.
And
in
these
every
guys
different
just
card
got
scheme.
ventilated, did they? They just got absolutely...
For a time, they were our primary bad guys. We were not interested in like going up against a rainbow cornucopia of Cobra Vipers, because we had troop builders, but we didn't build armies. So we had one Heat Viper, one Range Viper, one Night Viper, one Frag Viper, etc. So it offended the eye to have that as your bad guy. We wanted GI Joe coming up against like real army dudes. Typically South American drug lords, as I say, with these massive private armies.
When you played with your Joe and you were playing Joe, did you have like wounded? Like I never left anyone behind. Did you like kill people off?
Main guys.
Yeah.
For a time, I kept a very crude spreadsheet of who was injured, who was dead, what vehicles were totaled, what vehicles were being repaired, what vehicles were in prime fighting condition. That was the
I remember making bandages and putting like a bit of red on there and tying it. Yeah.
Oof,
I was so into
detail, man.
I was like really into like achieving the mission, but then the ball ache would be like, I don't know, Leatherneck's gotten shot, so we can't leave him, but it slows everything up. So, yeah.
I just think of the time that you're spending doing that amount of prep.
Yeah,
I mean, it got to a point for me that I wasn't even putting guns in the sort of disposable baddies' hands. I'm just pretending that they had guns in their hands, because the tedium of arming the enemy. Like
I was doing field dressings, and as I was doing it, like I'd have a little break and then they'd take some fire. So it wasn't like I was just performing this task. There was still play happening as I was doing the task in like real time. And then
under fire, Ben the medic applies the tourniquet. Amazing.
I'm getting some I also used to write a lot of stories, like just fan fiction, I guess, at the time, just from file cards. I really got into that at one stage.
My buddy Rob, fanfic completed one of our games by sort of writing to me, and then he faxed it to me, Ben. He sent it via fax, this thing.
Die Hard 2, just the fax.
Unbelievable. And I'm like,
wow.
As it's painstakingly coming through the feeder, I'm like looking at, whoa, wow, what happened next? Oh my God, what, this, that. I mean, what a time.
Did you ever play the role-playing game? Is there a GI Joe role-playing game?
You are the second person to ask me about this within a week. Rob has the core rulebook, Rob from GI Joburg. I'd love to give it a chance. I'm just too busy dadding. With who?
I can't remember if Chief, my buddy Chief, we made it up ourselves, or if he actually had the core rule book, but we did play it a couple of times.
No, I don't think it was a vintage GI Joe role-playing game.
Means so Chief invented it. So we made the profile cards and gave them all of their points and stuff. Wild times, man.
I went as far as to do GI Joe top trumps. Like I made my own cards with
fantastic
stats. And I could include guys like the October God. And I gave them their own color coding.
I would sit at night in my bed. I should have been asleep. And I would just sit with my wedge of file cards with a lackey band. And I would just obsessively just read them. I think I had a little cassette player playing something, in the background. And I would just rinse those file cards. What a time.
Hang on every word. Yeah.
It was just it was filling in all the blanks.
I attribute a lot of who I am to just absorbing those words.
Yeah.
There were some strange words on the file cards, man.
They went to some strange places with those file cards.
Yeah, well,
and just even I just liked the simple things. I liked the different colors. I liked that Tiger Force were yellow file cards, things like that. Just, What a great IP G.I. Joe really is. That's why we find ourselves doing a show about it all these years on, S-Jubs. Because there's just there's so much there still to be mined, as far as I'm concerned. That's why I am a bit funny about the new stuff, because I could play around in this little era for the rest of my days and be perfectly happy with that. I started looking at. Have you got the trading cards? Have you got the
Impels?
Impels, yeah.
Yes.
So I had it. Don't know where it's gone, but I'm going to get it again. That's so cheap. It's probably £30 for the whole set.
Oh,
but I remember them being interesting. They were good.
They have some questionable facts on them.
That's what I was going to ask you. I can't remember for the life of me what's on the back of those. I just remember character cards. I remember some really cool comic cover bits, like maybe 20 comic covers in there. Is there or something?
We got a comment on our Special Missions 22 episode from last week, episode 16, where someone said that this cover was infamous for them for a different reason. It was the last Impel card that they had to track down, and it took them a long time to get it.
Wow.
To get that cover, with the Shockwave coming through the
I wasn't
window.
collecting. I remember, Chief, I got them from America. I just bought the set when I was younger. Don't ever remember them being out in the UK or being sold in the UK. What year are they?
1991?
1991, good year.
Oh,
for
91,
trading cards.
92. I think they kind of might have straddled those years.
It's
but the only reason I say that is
set.
yeah,
It's a big set,
Yes.
if I remember. Maybe 200.
couldn't tell you, Ben.
I think it is.
I've got a complete
Right.
set, and I'm not going to do the head count. I think
I'm going
Chief wanted
to get
to.
on those.
I think we did a few podcast episodes on the subject. He would
Right, you've
hold
got
up a
them out.
card, and we'd talk about them.
I would love to spend an evening with those. I'm going to get them and I'm going to go through them. I may even consider getting a slab. See how much they go for. I love a slab. I do. I'll slab anything. A video game, a comic.
Is there a
trading
particular
card.
card you have in mind?
Well, I think I'd have to refresh my memory of the character art, but I imagine the Snake Eyes was pretty good. Storm
Several
Shadow.
Snake Eyes, I think. There's definitely
comic
him in his
art.
1991 getup, and
The
then there's probably
ratio-
one in his OG 13.
The ratio doesn't really work with a trading card for comic art, so I remember them being quite pushed back and having quite a lot of dead space around them, if I remember correctly.
They gave them a border,
A heavy border.
heavy border.
Yeah. But at the
Pity about
time, not owning all of the comics, I remember just looking at those covers or whatever covers were included and kind of obsessing about that.
Filling in the blanks.
Yeah, filling in the blanks, Die Hard style. Anything more you want to say about this magnificent issue 50?
I think I could talk all night, Ben, but we've reached the end of one show, and I would compel anyone who wanted to read along with us to do so. What a
Yes.
glorious time. How did you take this one in? Did you read it more than once, or did you manage to just get through it once before the show?
No, I read it twice. Yeah, but I read
boy.
it twice pretty much off the bat. Not special missions, but I remember I started texting Chief because I was just so blown away by the art, and I was just sending him individual panels, and I get stuck on panels when I read these. I like to read it pretty normal the first time and then really deep dive on the panels, my favorite panels.
Good, as it should be.
I tell you what, man, this is really good condition. Like, seriously.
Don't touch it! Don't touch it!
But for £3.90, what was it? I don't know. Well, for however
It
much
was
it
unreal.
was. $3.75. Wow. 1986, issue 50, an important issue. Whew,
Well,
absolutely
mine,
ridiculous.
A Christmas Fairy must have made
What's the story?
mine.
What's
Yeah,
your story?
because I don't remember having this as a child. I definitely didn't have this as a child because the condition would say that it's been untouched by my hands. Rob, my buddy who works at a comic book store, must have, while he house sits for my folks while they're away, must have just slotted this into my My pile of books.
And he took it out of a bag and put it in because he knows.
He knows. I want them quick to hand.
Oh,
I don't be messing with no tape. Gross.
Yeah, but I want to be reading these things, when I'm old.
One might argue that we're already old, and I've been reading the same books all my life, boy. Just because the cover tears free doesn't mean you can't read the contents.
Now, look, before we Brexit out of here, what's going on with the main show? Something dropped today, and I haven't watched it yet. Buzz.
Oh, we're tipping our hand as to when we record these.
Sorry.
The Buzz board dropped on Monday of this week.
Yes.
That will be a week old by the time this comes out. We will have done another general chat, probably talk about some comic books.
Have you dropped?
I don't know.
Have you dropped talking about A-Ra?
Kind of, yeah.
Feels that way.
We might as well pick it up again because
why not?
A-Ra is once again the hot book, and I must say the latest relaunch of GI Joe, the Skybound one, kind of lukewarm. Not really off to a smoking start.
Beige, vanilla.
Well, I think someone I was talking about it too the other day put their finger on it, and it might have been you, Ben. The art style.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Skybound, invincible, clean, trendy now. G.I. Joe requires something a bit more timeless.
I think so, because you're dealing with an IP that is just drenched in nostalgia, but then that's not their goal with this book, is it? So
I don't know. Maybe it's
I don't know if I buy this.
I'm just an old, cantankerous old G.I. Joe fan who.
Do you?
You can't please me. It's impossible.
It might be impossible.
Stick to the old. Yeah, I just need to stick to what I love, which is.
But when people say, "Oh, we're going to bring it to a new audience," I don't think there is one. So
then, who's buying all these classified toys, Ben? Is it all just us?
Us, old school fans. Okay. I'm just saying that maybe by betraying the core values of the brand and trying to create G.I. Joe in a new kind of light has just made it like that's the barrier of entry for me. It's like, something's not quite right here. I don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it.
Trying to milk that IP from the 80s, but it's not the 80s anymore.
It's not
cool to do guys with guns. You gotta do.
What is cool is this SA dude rapping his heart out at the end of this show. Look, ladies and gents. Hey, nice. Oh, wow. That is lovely.
Soundwave tonight. Bought it at Hot Topic in the United States in the year 2006.
It's going strong.
Still alive. I believe Hot Topic is not a cool place to shop, but to a South African kid who never had access to fan T-shirts in his life, it was pretty mind blowing to go into that shop.
Yeah, people. I think in America that people say, "Oh, it's very Hot Topic." It's very, and that basically means, "Oh, that's very something that shop would sell." Obvious. I don't know. When I'm in the States, I always get myself into a Hot Topic. Look, you can find me at BenFlyingRetro on Instagram. You can listen to me, People Who Play, over on Substack. It's business as usual, so I'm back on the clip outs. Back on the clip outs.
Good stuff.
Had to have a break over December. Jeez.
Yeah, naturally. But we didn't have a break, did we, Ben?
No,
we've been coming
breaks.
at you.
Yeah.
Thick and fast. Chasing Joe.
When you're chasing something, you can't stop chasing it. It doesn't make any sense to stop. You have to continue. The postman certainly didn't stop.
December 25th, January 1st, the postman keeps coming. All right, boys and girls, see you next week. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.